Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hi everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell here with you. Brilliant that you've joined us today. Our guest on this episode is Ansar, and he's a relationship and mindset coach. And he's mixed his expertise in behavioural psychology, along with his personal experiences of being single and now married. And he helps business owners not only find, but also build great relationships. He's also been writing a book. He's currently developing a course. So stay tuned. I'm sure there's lots that you can learn practically for yourself. And I'm sure you've got friends that need help in relationships as well. So without further ado, welcome Ansar Ali.
Hi, Trevor. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate the chance and the opportunity to be here. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some great tips with you guys. Whether you're a business owner or whether you're not, when it comes to relationships, it's something that we human beings are made for. And so I'm really looking forward to sharing with you some of the things that I've discovered over the last decade that has really helped to enrich my relationships with my friends, the new people that I've made and created in my networks, as well as the woman that I married.
Sounds good. Yeah, lots to unpack with that. Maybe just to start off for a bit of background, you started off more in sort of arts side of things before?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a creative person from a very young age. I've had dreams of being an illustrator, concept art illustration, comic books, superheroes. And so I chased that for a long time and I was very good at it. I mean, I won big awards and competitions. I won minibuses for my high school with national competitions. I've got my artworks published in books and magazines. But it wasn't until about 2-3 years ago, I'd say about 3 years ago, I was just looking at my screen, blank screen on my computer, about to draw something new. I just thought, I'm not happy doing this anymore. I just suddenly something clicked because I'd taken a journey of self-discovery for the last 10 years prior to that. And within that, I started learning so much about myself, about others, about just happiness in general, right? And I realized that even though I was doing something I was interested in, right, which I loved, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And that's what triggered the change for me to move from my art stuff to actual coaching and life skills. Because I realized over that 10-year decade, that decade of a journey that I took, I was really happy when other people were happy, when people were able to solve the problems that they just couldn't get their heads around. And being the cause, or at least the intermediary for that became really fulfilling. And so I just suddenly realized, wait a minute, I had gathered so much years of knowledge and information in terms of the solutions that I myself have, come and found on testing in my life and in how it changed me. Now I think I could definitely share this with the world and people that are out there in the same situations as myself. And so that's how it kind of just began that one night. Yeah. I started writing my book.
No, it's really good. I mean, yeah, I like one of your quotes is real connections require real people. I think, yeah, we can all, wherever we are, whether we feel we're experts in relationships or not, there's always something we can learn, isn't there? And let's be honest, we're not experts in relationships. It's a day-to-day thing, isn't it? There's certain principles you can put into place, but yeah, it's an ongoing challenge, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that relationships, you have the natural side of it, which is that, the innate disposition, the things that make us who we are. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, in this day and age, acting fake, right? Because you're trying to impress others through a fake persona. And so when those real elements of your needs come out, which are actually directly connected to your happiness, to you feeling fulfilled, you put them aside. You stop playing games because you think somehow others won't accept you as you are. And so what you actually do is you sabotage your own happiness by deceiving yourself into believing false ideas about what others might think of you. And in that 10-year journey that I took, I was able to peel off all those false reasons and the whys and shall I behind doing what I did. And now when I do something, I make sure that I'm doing it with the correct intention. Whether it's like starting my business in coaching, am I really doing it to help others? Or am I just doing it to be famous, to get a big name, to make money? What is it? I mean, business side will always come into whatever it is that you want to fulfill and do. It's necessary because without money, we can't reach the rest of the world, right? If I don't have the money, I want to be the most nicest guy in the world. I can be, but I'm only going to impact only those few people that I have direct connections to. Yeah. But money is a commodity that's necessary in the way that we run our lives and the things that we do. That if you want to impact millions of people, you need a team behind you, right? You need the time, you need to be able to multiply your time. And so it's important to be able to look at these things as well when you're approaching your business, your idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So within the audience, we've got people that are single in business. We've got people that are married in business, people that may be looking into getting into business as well. So the whole relationship element affects all of us in one way or another. The other side of that is also how do we deal with the team, as you mentioned, or business partners as well. How do we reach new clients? So maybe we'll touch on the reaching out to new clients a little bit later. But what would be some of the kind of fundamental skills that we need, which we've either heard before and just aren't doing, or some of them maybe we've just not even heard before? Some of the basics for connecting with not necessarily the opposite sex, but just other people in general.
Other people. I think the most important thing to realize is that the connections that you have, they become more valuable when that other person believes that you bring something of value to them, right? Whether it's intimate relationships or whether it's a business one, the primary reason why somebody else would want to be in your life, would want to spend time with you, is because you bring value to their life, right? So if it's a business thing, you need to be able to somehow bring something to them that will improve their business, that will allow them to get more customers, allow them to make their website better, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to make a personal connection with somebody, nobody wants to be with someone that doesn't make them happier, doesn't make them feel good in their company. And so whenever you approach with the idea of, I need to create a new relationship, you have to ask yourself, you as a person, what are you bringing primarily to this other person so that they can believe that you are giving them value? I'm talking about genuine value, not just, trying to say, I'm just going to show this, but essentially I want something else. Because in reality, ask yourself, and this is where it goes to these deep emotional self-awareness activities and methods, is that what would I want to have somebody that's new? What would I like to have from this person before I say, I'm ready to have a friendship with you, a relationship with you, a connection with you? Because you wouldn't just, want somebody out of nowhere to come and become a part of your life if there's no trust, if there's no value, and if there's nothing to look forward to in the future with that person. And so you have to ask yourself, what can I develop within myself in terms of my knowledge, in terms of my skills, in terms of my resources that I can bring when I come to approach and create those new networks?
Yeah, that's really good. It kind of, that builds on what you said before about being authentic, not having the mask, but being who you really are, and kind of happy with who you are first to then kind of offer your services to other people, isn't it? So no, that's really good.
There's something that's really important that a lot of people miss out on when it comes to self-value, self-worth. There's internal one and there's an external one. A lot of the time people get confused with the external self-worth and value. What you have to realize is when it comes to your internal value, right? You don't need to have millions of pounds. You don't need to be super famous. You don't need to be the best looking guy in the world. Internal value is based on the innate self that makes you who you are as a human being. So the way that I compare is this. Take two pieces of gold, right? One is covered with dirt and muck. You can't tell it's gold. And the other one is gold. If you look at both of them after both are cleaned, in the innate value of both of these pieces are same because they're equally gold. They have the same value, but the only difference is one is covered, you don't know. So human beings who are not able to know their own value as a human being don't have inner self-value and worth. They don't realize their gold as well, right? And so they focus too much on how other people are perceiving the outer shell, the appearance of the value, and they forget their inner value. And that's why, as you said, is that you need to first gain that inner value. Once you've got that, automatically the confidence comes along with it, because you no longer depend on your value, on what others are saying. But that doesn't mean to say it's not important, because later on, when it comes to connections, first introductions, first meetings, they're always going to be something that people are going to look at you and say, oh, is this person somebody that I want to be around, I want to connect with? But unless you have internal value yourself first, you're always going to be somebody who's begging for value and attention. And that becomes very unhealthy, toxic, whether it's relationships, business-wise, or intimate, because you essentially fall into a category of begging, of fear, of always not sure as to if you should do this or if you say this or not, because the partner might leave you or the business might be abandoned, whatever it might be. You need to first gain internal value and worth that that you're made from, as you're born with.
Yeah, it's the inner world that creates the outer world, really, isn't
it? Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm a coach, so I would definitely recommend coaching because I've seen the value in my own life as well as my clients. Would you say that is the best way to help change your mindset? Or
for me, I think it depends. I've worked with so many different problems in terms of the clients I've worked with, from porn addictions to long-term depression and anxiety, to people who are in the middle of divorce, I would say it depends on the individual, because there's a saying that you can teach someone all the knowledge of the universe, but if they're not willing to apply what they learn, it doesn't matter. You can be the best master, the best coach, the best mentor, but if the student is not good, then it doesn't matter what you teach them, right?
Yeah.
So it comes down to the individual person, because there are 7 different types of learning methods, and so you have to learn. You have to know how to learn. Now, you have to learn how to learn, as I say, is because it's important for you to know what type of information you take in better. If you're a person that takes in audio better, video, touch, you work better in a group, or you better learn by yourself, which type? Unless you know how well you learn, you can't learn anything. And then it goes from, in terms of coaching is so powerful because you have that one-to-one intimate, private, right, deep conversations. And the coach that you're working with, they're able to really ask questions that you may stay away from, because our brains are made to avoid pain, and so we sometimes don't ask the questions that are actually going to cause us pain and shock us into reality. And so it's so important to have that coach there, because it actually speeds up recovery and success exponentially, because they've already reached that point you're trying to reach. And so with a guiding hand, they can show you all the tripwires and all the minds that are there. And so you need that to really speed up your healing process, your recovery. One of the clients that I had is a close family friend, and I said, look, people have this notion that time heals everything. Time doesn't do anything. You heal yourself, but you need to know the process.
Yeah.
Because you have people who are depressed, and they eventually go into long-term depression, and eventually they can't get out of it. That's because they don't know the process of healing. A coach, a mentor, a guide, they know the process, and so that's their job, to teach you the process and say, okay, now take as much as time as you need, because now that you know the process, you'll be able to track your progress, right? You'll know where you are in terms of your healing, in terms of your success of the business that you're trying to launch or create. And so it's important to know that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could well be like coaching will be part of the process, but the first step is maybe therapy or some other kind of
definitely.
No, that's really good. Yeah, I like that. So tell us a little bit about, we will talk about reaching clients more in a bit. You've kind of touched on some key areas already, but just tell us a little bit about your course first, because I'm intrigued about pies.
Okay. So one of the concept, one of my biggest concept that I came up with and developed is what I call the pies of life. And so the pies is an acronym for the physical, intellectual, emotional, and the spiritual sides of a person to create a balance. And so because I was on a journey of happiness, what I realized was happiness is different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But we are all made up of these four parts of us every day: the physical, the spiritual, the intellectual, and the emotional. These are the four main components. And so it's about making a balance of these four every day. And this balance doesn't have to be 25% each way. No, it can be 20% one, 40% another one. But the key is for you to become self-aware, for you to become aware of your body, of your conscience, of your heart, of your spirit, and say each day, okay, what am I feeling low in? And give your attention and energy more to that side. So you may be feeling spiritually low tomorrow, right? You might say, you know what? I just need to push myself away from all this stuff. I just need to spend some time in nature and reconnect with the world, reconnect with the universe. And so that's what the pies is about. It's about you being able to calibrate your own self daily so that you're keeping a balance. Because happiness is different for everybody, but it's also same in that we require universally same things, just in different amounts. And so you need to know what your amounts are for each of those four areas.
Okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. And I guess then, like within a marriage, discovering what those areas are for your partner as well.
Marriage is something that I say is like a cherry on top. If you're in a healthy relationship, right, whether it's a long-term committed relationship or a marriage, it's a cherry on top because that's the only way we are able to multiply our happiness. Now, what happens the first time we achieve something, a medal? What are we going to do? You don't say, oh, I'm just going to keep it to myself. And you want to go and run and tell everybody that you love. I've won this, I've done this, right? And when they see you do this, they're excited. They jump up and down with you. Everybody's jumping up and down. You're all happy. Now you all want to celebrate. What have you done there? You've taken your achievement, that moment of happiness, you've spread it to people who care, and they have essentially boom, 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 and made it bigger, and it's multiplied it. So when you have a spouse, you have a partner that you have in a healthy relationship, they essentially help you to multiply all your life experiences. And that can be negative as well, right? So that's why it's so important to make sure you become so good at the foundations of your relationships, so that every time you're spending time with your partner, every time you're spending time with your friends, your business work, whatever it is, right, you're multiplying your happy experiences. Because essentially that's what life is, right? By the end of it, it's the memories that we talk about and think about and we take capture moments of that we say is life.
Yeah. So what would be, I'm kind of curious to get your expertise on this. If you're someone in a marriage,
Yeah.
and you're self-aware, you're focused and proactive about the four areas, getting yourself in a good place to contribute to the relationship, but the other party, for whatever reason, they're not at the same place, they're not proactive about looking after themselves, and the knock-on effect to you is, like, you can't control them.
No.
You can try and influence and help them, but we're separate people, kind of thing. So what would be some of the things that the individual that is trying to get it right, the balance of it all, what could they do to help the relationship?
If you're already in this situation, then I tell you what the problem already is: communication, right? It means you've not communicated right from the onset. When it comes to relationships, you have to go in knowing the foundation key elements needed for success. One is communication, and two is the ability to overcome problems together. Right? Instead of saying I'm running away, expect problems. There is no such thing as a Disney type relationship where everything is perfect, right? The best and the most long lasting relationships are those that can handle any type of problems any type of curveball life throws at them, whether they're financial, emotional, whether it's a mistake somebody's made, even if it comes to in terms of infidelity, which is what my course is around. It's your ability to say, you know what, regardless of the mistakes we've made, let's see why we made those mistakes. What environments created these actions and this kind of thinking, this kind of behavior. So these two elements are key that you go into any relationship with, which means at any point, if your needs change, if your standards are changing, you need to communicate those. Now, when it comes to it, the growth part of it is that, as you said, that it can be that sometimes one person will grow and the other person will stay stagnant. They haven't gone worse; they've just stayed the same.
Yeah.
And so, by you growing, your needs change, right? Your potential changes, your thinking changes, and it's not because it's the fault of the person that stayed the same. It's just you have different goals and ambitions in life, right? So what would that come down to? It would come down to when you initially first started your relationships, did you talk about those important things, those important questions? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years time? What do you want to do? And so you find a lot of people are going into relationships just blindfolded, right? Because of sexual chemistry, because of they make me feel so this, or love is so important. But in reality, you have to be practical about relationships too, because practicality means finances, it means children, it means where you live, right? It means how you are with each other in terms of your needs and your rules. Everybody has different rules in life. And so unless you communicate these rules, I can't read your mind, you can't read mine. I will never know what you truly want. So you're at a stage now that person has grown. The most ideal situation is that both of you, when you come into a relationship, you should be compatible. Compatibility is, we're talking about in terms of not needs, but priorities. So, for example, you might say that I value my family, right? And I might say I value my family, but in my actual priorities, my family might be number 2, but your family might be number 1, which means you're actually incompatible.
Yeah.
But you can also have compatibility in different things in this way. So you might be 2 creative people, right? So you might say, I love adventure. That's my number 1 priority, right? But you see adventure in climbing a mountain, right? Going outdoors. But your partner might say, I love adventure, but I live adventurous in the kitchen, cooking with different ingredients. So in terms of compatibility, you actually are compatible. You're both 2 creatives. Your priority is adventure, but in 2 different topics, which is great because you're able to challenge each other and experience different things with one another, but you also be able to understand each other in terms of the adventure side of it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what you need to be coming out on in terms of going in compatibility, but as long as the priorities are in the same equal priorities.
Yeah.
The other aspect of the growth is that it might be that the person that you're with, they actually drop a notch. They let go, right? I think that's what you were saying. They let go, they become lazier, they don't take care of themselves as much. You can't actually force somebody to do something. What you can do, what you should do in that position is you need to communicate how you feel, but not accuse their character. Yeah. So say your husband is working 80 hours a week, right? And successful men who are earning like 6 figures, usually working 60 to 80 hours a week, and spending this time away. But the way they look at it is that I'm working so hard to provide for my spouse, provide for my family, for my children. And for them, that means their work out there actually means to them that they are being loving, they are being caring, because they're taking care of you financially, they're supporting, they're being the provider. But you might be at home thinking, he's always working out like for so long, I don't get to see him, I feel lonely. So instead of accusing his character and saying, you're such a bad husband, or you're such a bad partner, or you're a bad father because you're never here, instead you say, I feel that you're away for so long that I feel lonely. I don't feel like I see you enough. Look at the 2 different types of approaches. One of them, when you judge a person's character, it's very difficult to change a person's character, right? Often you hear the response, well, that's who I am. What can I do? I'm not going to change. But if you say a person's action makes you feel a certain way, they can change that action very quickly, very easily. A lot of the clients that I've worked with in terms of relationship problems is because it's the women that usually approach it the wrong way. They accuse the character of their husband or their partner as opposed to letting them know how they feel. And that can really change the dynamics of the relationships very quickly.
Yeah. I heard something, it was a while back now, but just the way men and women view relationships different. So men have a kind of a dominant need to be respected, whereas the ladies have a dominant need to feel loved.
That's
and
correct.
you know, they're not the same thing. You should have both ideally growing, but yeah, I think it's a really good, the way you framed that is really good, because it translates exactly into business partnerships as well.
Absolutely.
If you don't have the same kind of values as the person that you're going into business with, or you've assumed that you're on the same page, but you've not had the discussion about what happens when we get challenged ethically, or how we're going to approach certain things, you know, what you think the other person would automatically do because that's what you would do, to them it might be completely different. And it's having the discussion as much as you can beforehand, and then communicate when you're in a kind of conflicting situation that actually this is how it's looking to me, and I'm not comfortable with that, but I want to hear your side of it as well.
That's exactly what it is, really. The more clarity you can provide to the other person, the more clearer picture you can provide for them, to make sure that what you're thinking in your mind, because a lot of the time, you know, people have the right intention, they have good intentions, but it comes out wrong. It's said wrong. The tone is wrong. The wording is wrong, right? And it can be under stress. It can be under panic. It just can be that you didn't even have the vocabulary in your mind to be able to explain what you want to explain, right? So it doesn't hurt to just say, listen, give me 5 minutes. Let me just think about what I'm trying to explain to you, right? And let me do it correctly. Because there will never be somebody out there who partners up with you in your business that wants exactly what you want. They just believe in your goal because it correlates to their own goal, right? It could be something along the same lines, but it's a matter of where's those differences where you can say, let's try to support and help each other on those differences where you can possibly branch off to something yourself. But before that, whatever we come compatible with, whatever we have that unique same goal and same purpose in, let's support each other up to that point until we're able to branch off from those other areas.
Yeah. No, that's really good. It's really good. So as mentioned earlier, we've got a few more minutes left. Let's dig into a bit about what will be some of the techniques, is probably the wrong word, but how can we help build initial contact with potential clients, maybe from a first conversation or a first approach? What would be some of the things you think, the good stuff to do, and maybe also what to avoid?
Okay, so in terms of your clients, you need to do the research. You need to know, where do your clients reside, right? Where are they most spending their time? Where is their communities? Where are their groups? And so, like, for example, some of the clients that I find are through actual divorce chats and relationship chats, online networks and stuff, where they're actually asking a lot of questions in regards to their situation. And if you take the time to actually answer their question and help them out, and then maybe have a link under your comment to your website, let them naturally say, oh, that's been really helpful. Let me check what that link goes to, right? So you're indirectly always come with genuine help, right? You're offering value. Yeah. And let that person decide if they think you're worth more time, you're worth more looking into, right? And so if you approach with that, that's one aspect. The other thing is, of course, creating your social media content. If you're invisible, if you've got the best idea in the world, but you've got nothing to show, nobody's going to find you. I'm sorry to say, you could be the most smartest person in the universe, but if nobody knows where you are, you're not going to be known. So there are different routes you can take. And one of the routes that I took for a year was just focusing on social media. And so Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all these things. And so I tested out just to see. My main focus at that time was to just get out as much content as possible. I was thinking to myself, I just want to fill the whole internet with my stuff. So where anybody goes, something of mine pops up. And so that's one of the other approaches that you can also do. And so with that, you get organic traffic coming in. The other things is to try to just on Twitter, you can look for hashtag and search for conversations. People are, talking about this thing, that thing, jump into conversations, right? Offer the help. Always offer help. If you're not go like really as a physical thing, you can connect with people within your community who are leaders in that community, whether it's the church, whether it's the mosque, whether it's certain youth groups, whatever it is, right? Offer them certain helps. Do a small seminar, small talks, with 10, 15 people. You have to make connections with people. If you don't, nobody's going to know you. And that's just, unfortunately, a fact of life. If you want people to know you, you need to go and know people. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like personal growth in general, isn't it? Like knowledge, wisdom, understanding is not looking for us.
No.
We have to go and find it.
The world doesn't owe you anything.
Yeah.
The world does not owe you an explanation of anything either.
Yeah.
And it's far better. I'll take the concept of rejection and approach when it comes to dating. If you see a beautiful woman and you desire her, if you go and say something, there's a 50% chance she's going to say yes. If you say nothing, 100% chance nothing's going to happen. In the same way, if you're DMing people, potential clients, potential partners even, right? You're messaging them privately in DMs. If you try, at least the feedback might give you something to improve on, right? If they're not responding at all, the feedback is your message is poor, right? It needs to be looked at. If they're doing a negative feedback, it might be, I've come across too harsh. Every interaction we have is feedback of some sort, right? Yeah. You have to be able to keep using that and just growing, getting better and better. If you go to the most successful business people, they never made it first time. It never worked like that. Take Colonel Sanders from KFC. He went to 1,009 restaurants with his recipe. Imagine if he had stopped after 1,006 rejections, no KFC.
Yeah.
And this is how you have to be, like this.
Yeah. Similar story with Starbucks as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for everything that you shared on that. There's lots of stuff there. I would encourage everyone listening, just re-listen to it at some point when you've got time to take more notes and just think, what's the first 2 things that I can put into practice straight away?
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, what's the best way for people to touch base with you, to find out more about you?
Okay, so I've just relaunched my new website, thrivinginrelationships.com. It's not the final version, but you can contact me through there. You can get in touch with me through emails. If you're looking for coaching, I do complimentary 30-minute sessions just to talk about your issue and see if I can really help you. I don't want to take your money if I can't help you. It's as simple as that. And so, if you've tried other avenues, it's not working out, you've got nothing to lose for a 30-minute session just to see, okay, you know what, let's get a different perspective. So, you can get me through that. You can get me through my social media, Instagram, the MD Ansar Ali. You can get me through my Twitter, Instagram. It's got the same.
You're everywhere, aren't you? Which is good. Yeah, people can find you whatever their platform of preference. So that's good. There will be links below as well. People can click straight through to your website. But yeah, that's good. And for everybody listening, half-hour phone call. Find out if coaching is the right thing for you at this stage of your life and what you want to achieve. I think that's good investment. And like he says, you can always say no or park it for another time. So yeah, but as you say, if you don't make the inquiry, you'll never know.
Yeah,
so that's a very good ethos. Translate that into all sorts of areas, couldn't you? It's just like, it's being proactive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, knowledge is power only when you take action.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you very much for everything that you shared today.
Thank you so much.
I wish you well with the book. I know that is coming after the course, a bit more at this point, but that's good. Maybe when the course is up and running, you can come back and tell us a bit more about the ins and outs of that. And
yeah, I would love to tell you about all the processes and the demons I had to fight to get this course built. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you. Okay.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
For everybody listening, again, I would just urge you, be proactive. If you don't do anything, nothing happens positive. You stagnate and the world moves on. So, take these principles. Invest in your relationships. they're the only real thing of value on the earth when it all comes down to it. So lots of things you can put into place. So until next time, we will sign off. Catch you next time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.